Two colleagues are engaging. The purple colleague says, "How was your monthly meeting with management?" The blue colleague notes, "It went well." In the next panel, we see the purple colleague next to a bar chart, which indicates some changes. A tech issue occurred and then it was fixed. And the purple colleague asks, "Did you mention the drop in March due to tech issues?" Blue colleague said, "Yes, though I may have omitted a few boring parts." Now we see what the blue colleague presented, and we may also notice the difference in the bar chart. Due to tech intervention, metrics increased by 30% in April. It did, although we neglected to mention what happened before that. And this is a great example of creating creative reporting, where we manipulate the data to share the story that we want to tell. But this was incomplete, and not only incomplete, it's misleading. This is a lost opportunity to learn. So while there was a drop and then an increase, ultimately the net change is zero. But what we need to understand is that changes in the environment, things happening, variation, it's normal. The goal is to reduce it, but we also need to understand our variation in order to properly manage it. In this instance, it was covered up, right? It was covered up to act as if that part didn't happen in order to tell what was perceived as a more positive story. But in looking at variation, it's good to understand one, that there are two different kinds: your common variation or common cause variation, which is predictable. And then you have your special cause variation, which is not. But for our predictable factors, we can manage those. We can learn and we can study what's happened in our environment. So there was a tech issue which caused a 30% decrease. The issue was resolved and we went back to our starting point. However, we didn't learn why. We didn't do any root cause analysis. We don't understand what happened, which means this may occur again in the future. Right? We don't know if it was common or a special cause variation. Lots of information was missed and data opportunities missed and opportunities to learn was missed. Now, when we can get to the why and do the root cause and our disruptions, we can better manage our variation. And guess what? That leads to continuous improvement. We're in that cycle of learning. So it's not bad that negative things happen or something's breaking or a metric decreases. This is normal and it is to be expected. But what we can do is we can learn from it. Now, let's say this was a Deming organization. What would we see? We might see one, different types of reporting. We know how bar charts work. So we'd want to see a larger data set, a greater period of time, maybe using something more like a scatter plot or a control chart, which gives you more data and a better representation of the information, and also helps you to get to that why a little bit sooner. And there would be complete and transparent reporting. There wouldn't be any fear in reporting variation even when there's a decrease. This comic really highlights how creative reporting can really lead to a distorted view of what's going on in an environment. Because we know data without context, it's noise. So we have to understand the variation, and that will help us to hear that signal clearly and understand how to best move forward.